Friends, we are starting our first lesson with a very important topic. This topic will ensure that your file works stably and allows you to render stably no matter which render engine you use in visualization. The first of these is, friends, working the file in group or in and companion form. If you don't know, you can check out the group and component working system on our YouTube channel. Now, why is this important? Friends, group and companion work is something that is at the core of all render engines. If you want to proceed efficiently from the very beginning to the end of the render, you need to know the group and component. If you start working with the group and component, there's no problem. If you receive a file from outside, you need to check for the presence of group and component. What are group and component? Friends, for those who don't know, I will make a very brief summary. Normally, when you draw models, friends, when you draw the model, when you draw any wall, any surface, it cannot remain free, like this. You need to select all of it and make it a component or a group. You need to know the distinction between them. If you leave a file like this, without knowing the distinction, it is not efficient for render engines, friends. Also, when you draw a model, it must be a group or component. When you do this, you need to enter it, select everything, and assign a texture from here. What happens if you don't assign a texture? Let's say all the models remained white. When you send it to Twinmotion and apply a concrete texture to a white wall, the entire work actually becomes a concrete texture. So imagine that the texture here is white. You assigned a texture to this in Twinmotion. What happened this time? The entire work became white. Or it became the texture you selected. Therefore, if the surfaces are different when you select any model, you need to paint them in different colors. Friends, this is the working logic of SketchUp, which is the working logic of 3D render engines. And it is a very important thing, friends. You need to do these things. After coloring and applying texture in this way, if there are models without Twinmotion, let's say the ivy model is not there. I placed an ivy model here. To enhance the effect, these small leaves are not present. There are larger leaves. That's why I place small leaves. Let the asphalt model here be a texture. You can randomly place these like this. You change the Twinmotion. There is no problem with these. These are simple things. We will apply grass and other textures here by painting our interface with the Twinmotion painting technique. Friends, on the other surfaces, look here. Concrete texture has been used. We will also change these ourselves with Twinmotion parts. We have a texture here. Look, there's this texture. We already have the opportunity to shape and change that texture as we wish from here. Look, there's a white spot left here. Let's see what kind of texture that is. Like this. I'm clicking. Look, it's left empty as you can see. This was the part I wanted to mention. If empty textures remain like this, friends, it affects your work performance. That's why I take any image and look. When I place it here, the white part in the background has been colored like this. When you place it here, friends, make sure the parts that remain white are colored. With Twinmotion, when we apply a texture on top, this situation should be balanced. Now, the second thing we will do, friends, when you take the file and delete unnecessary models, because there are too many models in motion, the polygon-based models here. Let's say there is an electric pole, for example. I had it here. I deleted it. Why? Because since motion already includes electric poles and external environmental elements, it's more logical for you to use these external elements from your render engines, friends, because you won't burden the work. After doing these, you go to the window model section, model info. From the static section, by saying perch units, you delete unnecessary remnants in the file. From the file section, you say save from file. After saving the file, our file now has the feature to be sent to motion. Look, with the name of my file, training set. Do not use letters like H, C, soft G in the file name, because in motion and render engines, these characters cause problems for you. You might think you have modeled the file very well, but when you send the file, it never reaches Twinmotion, or it doesn't reach D5 or a different render engine. It's entirely due to the characters in the file name and the English names you used in the textures here. I mean the Turkish names, friends. Even when using textures, instead of using wood, use S instead of X. I mean, it's wooden. For example, do this with C when you use a fence. When you use these here, it also causes problems in the render engine, even if your file is modeled very well. Due to this you can experience problems due to this tiny mistake. Since our file is ready, let's continue in our second lesson by looking at the Twinmotion interface. Twinmotion is really very simple, and with the new Twinmotion 2025 summaries, you can get very high quality renders.